My name is Joey Hassett, and my question is, how does an introduction of various religious activities help people cope with adversity, leading to happier lives? Throughout the world, children are born into families with strong religious identities rooted deep into their lives and relationships, altering who they will become and who they will become in their later years. This common approach of passing religion down throughout generation after generation has led to the global diffusion of major religions seen all across the world, and led to the gathering of millions or even billions of observers. There are given benefits to the presence of religion in the developing stage, as opposed to non-religious upbringing. This is because, in most cases, religion works to solidify good attributes and to the personalities and thought processes of those who embrace it with an open mind. For many, it works to guarantee some sort of life after death, provides a set of shared morals, and builds a community of like-minded people through worship and shared cultural backgrounds. Connecting this to the stimulus material provided, the theme of beneficial religious integration into the everyday lives shines in Big Daddy's Last Dance, which was directed by Caitlin Green and John Casby, which highlights a Christian tradition in New Orleans with heavy West African influence called jazz funerals, which transforms the traditional funeral ceremony filled with sadness and grief into one that is filled with upbeat music and dancing to celebrate the life of a loved one as opposed to just acknowledging their departure from this world. Have You Renounced Pleasure, which comes from the Book of Joy by Douglas Abrams, explains that religion provides a much deeper and long-term type of happiness than that one that is just available through sensory gratification. The most apparent threat to the established beneficiary traits of religion is the separation of one and their faith as time goes on. The fading of one's involvement in activities is commonly due to religion being forced into their lives involuntarily, often by parents or other members of the household. Parents should otherwise increase introspective dialogue and one-on-one discussions at an appropriate age about what they truly believe in. Taking religion separate from the one currently in the household into account will help to differentiate what fits best for the individual. Religions can either be defined as universalizing or as ethnic, and it is understood that because each religion was formed in different parts of the world during different time periods, the basis of one from the next is vastly different, meaning that there are different benefits to these varying belief systems as well. To explore this concept, two religions that are similar in nature yet have different outlooks on topics of discussion such as morals and the afterlife are Christianity and Judaism. To begin with the most prominent faith, Christianity, which has accumulated over 2 billion followers distributed relatively evenly throughout the world as displayed by the map above. The fundamental beliefs of Christians is that their life decisions add up to determine their character as a whole and what their outcomes will be after death. Heaven, which is good, as opposed to hell, which is evil. A monotheistic belief in God works to pave the road for Christians to create a life free of sin to achieve self-fulfillment. In Christianity, following the words of the Bible is the way to achieve this, and in doing so, a life free of what Christians believe is sinful leads to happier lives overall. From a social perspective, the nonpartisan group Pew Research found that in their studies, in the US alone, 36% of the actively religious described themselves as very happy, while only 25% of the unaffiliated groups were able to do the same. While at first glance, the Bible's description of how to function in society and how to be a good person seemed only geared to gain entry into heaven, Christians experience an immense amount of benefits that make them happier people than those who do not belong to religious groups. Judgment Day, which is defined by Merriam-Webster as the day of God's judgment of humankind according to various theories. Christianity that entails that one's entire existence lives up to this one moment where God will choose whether or not they will be gained entrance into the desirable world of heaven. The motivation to reach heaven heavily influences Christians to treat each other with respect and love, and to craft meaningful relationships with each other on earth. Christians are more apt to overcome adversity as it is their belief the obstacles they face are part of God's plan. Judaism, on the other hand, similarly works to surround Jews with a community of shared beliefs and guide them towards a selfless life that is much happier and full than the average person. The Jewish scripture, the Torah, does not place as much of an emphasis on afterlife as Christianity does. Religious scholars from the New York Times explains that in Judaism, life itself is of conversation significantly more than death. In Judaism, the concept of tikkun olam, which translates to world repair in English, stresses that Jews work to actively make the world better for generations to come. Seeking reform and improvement is a huge benefit to participating in the Jewish faith that pushes the world closer to perfection. The Torah attempts to better those who read and study them in order to fulfill the desired image the founders had of the world. Looking at it from a historical perspective, the small population of Jews have been dispersed and disproportionately gathered across the world. With the disruption of anti-Semitic events such as the Holocaust during the 20th century that led to the deaths of over 6 million Jewish people, Jews have had to work especially hard to maintain communities and start families among each other to preserve their religion despite the hardships and the hatred worldwide. Religion, such as this case, was the light at the end of the tunnel for people who were targeted. It has an ability to build communities of people who come from similar households and have experienced similar life experiences, which also contributes to lifelong happiness that is on an unachievable level without religion. These communities of people with the same beliefs and outlooks on life serve as motivation to be active members of society. Similar studies from Pew Research show that 69% of the actively religious partake in elections regularly, while as opposed to only 48% of unaffiliated groups. From a political perspective, elections are an excellent representation of how the establishment of these communities work to influence the function everyone has during their short lives to make them more meaningful. While some would argue that anti-Semitism is rooted deep into history, with the Crusades and the Holocaust being only two of the countless evil acts towards the Jews. Adversity that seems overwhelming at first is overcome with more ease as a group than as one person. The work of Jews worldwide, along with the admirable work of Zionism, have faced anti-Semitism directly and have provided the Jews with a much brighter future. While some would argue that from the perspective of an atheist, they are just able to be happy people or are likely to possess the ability as religious ones. While a large portion of one's ability to overcome challenging moments can be accounted for with individual will and mental strength, being surrounded by other people that think similarly and value each other helps when life seems too difficult to handle without the support of others, such as religious communities. As explained by the stimulus material earlier, a deeper level of happiness and spirituality is possible through the involvement of religion, which is opposed to the people who are uninvolved. Christianity and Judaism are only two of the countless religions to help provide the undeniable benefits absent to those that identify as unaffiliated. Once again, encouraging individual exploration and one-on-one discussions to determine which faith best suits each person is the best way to approach the increasing number of non-religious people globally. The discovery of religion will help to maintain the benefits religion has to offer. Thank you, and here are the works cited.